Okay, let's watch Why Everyone Forget About Kyle. I haven't seen or heard anything about Kyle since I Spy with my little light. The song with Lil Yachty. So
Kyle,
let's
also
go.
known as Super Duper Kyle, is a
Yeah,
rapper who went viral for his song I Spy featuring Lil Yachty.
that's what I
It
just
racked
said.
up nearly 1 billion streams on Spotify alone and has gone 8
100
times
million.
platinum. Following that, he released a couple of other songs that garnered hundreds of millions of streams, and it seemed like Kyle was super successful.
Never heard
Not
of
too
those
long
songs.
After his massive success, Kyle seemingly disappeared. People stopped talking about him and his music, and his massive buzz seemed to have vanished. But to understand how Kyle became popular so quickly and then lost that hype even faster, we gotta go back to the beginning. Kyle was born in LA and started making music when he was young,
93.
dropping a bunch of
my
mixtapes
age.
from 2009 to
He's older than me,
2012
like,
under the names Kid Cash and KID, or
months.
Kid, or whatever he used to call himself. He used to make your more run-of-the-mill average style of rap, and he said himself it didn't really fit his vibe.
So all I used to rap about was just guns, selling drugs and shit. And then I noticed like I was always writing fire ass bars, but yet nobody liked any of my songs. And like my friends and shit were hella straight up with me. So I would play them some shit that I worked hella long on, and then I knew was fire. Then you'd be like, this shit is trash. And I was always wondering like, damn, why? And then I noticed it's like, cause nobody can really relate to it. They can't relate to it because they haven't lived that shit, and they can't relate to it because it doesn't even sound real coming out of my mouth.
Right. Eventually, he changed his name to Super Duper Kyle, saying the super duper part is because I'm also aware that I can do anything. There is no impossibility. I'm a superhero and I can save my own day as well as others with the power I have from this music and the power of being kind to people. I'm mentioning this for a reason, so keep that in mind. But Kyle shifted his style from your everyday drugs and guns raps to talking about things he actually did in his life.
Let me guess. He's gonna say like it's gonna be all around like he's probably, I bet he's just a good guy who like he makes songs probably just for like a little bit of that audience that he has, like the super hardcore ones, and some of the things might just get popped, you know, and just go and blows up and everybody starts watching him and shit like that. I think that could be what's going on. You know what I mean? And here's the thing, I think artists should do that all the time. Like, you made that type of music that got you famous, got you known. Keep doing the same thing. You might go down a bit, you know, but if you still keep doing the same songs, one of them might be catchy enough that some of your most loyal fans, the ones who like everything that you put out, they might like, yo, let me show this to someone, or I'm playing this song. Oh, that guy over there that listens to the song and be like, oh my god, that shit is fire. Who did it? Oh, this was Kyle's song, Super Duper Kyle. Oh really? Let me check him out. Starts liking it. The song goes and goes and goes. And after a while, you have like 100 million people listen to your songs and you're back at the top. You know, that happens a lot with a lot of artists. There's a lot of artists who actually still do that.
I had like Kid Cudi and, you know what I'm saying, and Wiz Khalifa and Drake and people like that to show me that you don't really have to be super hard in order to be a rapper. But I feel like Tyler and Odd Future was one of the first things that showed me like really having a personality, and like putting all of your weird shit into your music was okay too. You know what I mean?
We can be just like tech and just lie.
So this was Kyle's mission with his music, to be more positive, to put his personality into his music, and to be very genuine. Also, at some point along the way, he just started going by Kyle. In 2013, he independently released his debut mixtape, Beautiful Loser, which saw some decent success and today has multiple songs with tens of millions of streams. Kyle was getting some buzz, made some connections with artists, featured in a G-Eazy music video, and he was coming up. In 2015, he followed up with another mixtape called Smile, which saw way more success. This album peaked at 76 on the Billboard 200, had a feature from
I need to say that song.
and has the song Don't Wanna Fall in Love, which has hundreds of millions of streams. Kyle was finally cracking into the mainstream, and he was smart too, because despite having all of this success, he decided to stay independent, at least for now. It was shortly after this run that I found out about his music, and I was like 14 at the time, and I really liked his songs. When I was 14, songs like King Wavy with G-Eazy were like the coolest thing to me. Also, I gotta shout out Doubt It. That was my favorite song for probably a year. I thought it was so cold, and that single did pretty well too, garnering like tens of millions of streams. But I'm saying this to point out the type of music that he made, which I'll bring up later. Regardless, things were about to take off even more for Kyle. In December of 2016, he released his hit single I Spy, which went super viral. The song featured Lil Yachty, and I'd honestly be surprised if you guys haven't heard this song. It has nearly 1 billion streams on Spotify, peaked at number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100, and eventually went 8 times platinum. It even got a remix from Kodak Black, which I don't think I've ever heard, and I I don't know if I ever want to. That's not shade at Kodak, by the way. I can't imagine him on that song, and I don't think it would be good. The song I Spy really fit the vibe he was going for with the pop rap, positive, realistic vibe that he was talking about. I mean, the chorus is literally, I spy with my little eye, a girly I can get because she doesn't get too many likes. A curly-headed cutie I can turn into my wife. Very innocent and lovely chorus right there. Regardless, when that song blew up, he was able to sign
What
a
up, Black
record deal with
probably says
Atlantic
he's gonna
Records
kill the
in
bitch,
February
yeah?
of 2017.
I don't know,
Later,
I don't
he was
listen to
featured on
that
the
back.
XXL 2017 freshman class cover alongside X, Ugly God, Made in Tokyo, Amine, Playboy Cardi, A Boogie, and more. Kyle was
Okay, so I know Amine, Kyle's over here, Playboy Cardi, X, this is a boogie, and PNB Rock. I have no idea who this guy is. No idea who this guy is. I believe this is a girl. I have no idea who she is, and I have no idea who this guy is at the bottom. He said, like, ugly something. It might be this guy because he is very, very ugly.
blown up, and he had multiple songs that started coming out featuring people like Made in Tokyo, Ty Dolla $ign, Miguel, and others. In 2018, he released a single, Playing With Me, with Kehlani, and that song did insanely well. It didn't do as well as his hit song I Spy, but it did garner a few 100 million streams on Spotify.
I mean, to be honest, I Spy had Lil Yachty. Lil Yachty was like
studio
big
album,
thing.
Light of Mine, which had features from artists such as 2 Chainz, Khaled, and more. This album also eventually went platinum. Around this time, Billboard described Kyle as one of hip-hop's handful of more happy-go-lucky rappers, and that was a great description of his overall vibe. Kyle was on top of the world, and he even got to be the main character in a movie called The After Party, although it did have terrible reviews, so maybe that hurt his on top of the world feeling a little bit.
Do not care about the reviews. There's movies out there and shows and everything that people fucking hate. They have bad reviews, but then there's other people who actually watch the shit because they want to watch it and they like it. You know, like, I think The Last of Us 2 in the beginning had terrible reviews because everybody was upset, and now it has like a lot of good reviews because people actually like the game. And here's the thing, a lot of people that go and write reviews and shit like that usually are people who are alone at home doing absolutely nothing and watch 10 movies a day. Fuck the reviews. I don't care. You might enjoy the movie, might be super cool for you to watch while doing this. You might have been like, it could even have been like you were watching this with a girl that you liked at the time and it reminds you of good times or some shit like that. You know, like that. Like, I like World War Z, Shaun of the Dead. I like, which ones? I like Hit Chapter 2. I'm not a big fan of the first one. I prefer more of Chapter 2. But there's a lot of people who hate on the Chapter 2 and prefer the Chapter 1, which I don't get it. The Last of Us, the game, the second game, a lot of people hate it. I fucking loved it. There's a lot of fucking things like that. Fuck the reviews and fuck whoever says, yo, let's check the reviews to see if this thing is good. Because you might enjoy it. A lot of games, like, oh, I fucking hated this game. There's a lot of bugs. Even though it was fun to play for like a couple hours. Stupid people.
And after 2018,
don't check the
things seemed
reviews.
to slow down a little bit for Kyle. He released the deluxe
Make your own
Light of
review.
Mine, which didn't do super great in 2019. Then in 2020, he released his next album, See You When I'm Famous, with features from artists like Rich the Kid, Rico Nasty, Trippie Redd, Ian Dior, Bryson Tiller, Tyga, and plenty more. And even with all of those features, it didn't do nearly as well as his previous projects. It did place at 124 on the Billboard 200, and I'm not saying it did bad, but his numbers definitely started declining. And after this album that came out during the COVID lockdown, Kyle seemed to start falling out of the public eye. In a Billboard article, they seem to attribute the lack of success on his previous album to the COVID lockdown, and Kyle did too. He said, I was being so meticulous with trying to make that album perfect, and in my eyes, that is still the best thing I've ever done. But that shit really hurt me, because it totally did not react in the way that I was expecting it to. Billboard also said, like many artists with new projects that year, he felt it didn't reach its potential due to it being released during the pandemic.
That's just wrong. The pandemic could actually help you a lot because people are at home, so they will listen to the thing. They probably can't go to shows, obviously, but they will love if the project is good, people will listen to the project and like it. So you can just
that pandemic, it was like, damn, life really sucked. At least I know for everybody, but like from my own personal experience, like I was really, really hating life. I just dropped See You When I'm Famous. It's like in the middle of the pandemic. I can't go tour. I can't go do shit for it.
Right.
Like many other artists who weren't super gigantic with huge fan bases, he really suffered from the pandemic because he wasn't able to tour or promote his album like he normally would have been if there wasn't a pandemic. And like I said, the album hit.
There's a couple things he could have done. He could have started like live streaming on Twitch and share and be like, yo, I'm gonna stream on Twitch my album. I'm gonna do like a live performance. You guys want to be there, and make it like subscriber only thing. If you have enough people will watch it. It's like a movie ticket or a show ticket, and it costs like $5. Who's gonna be upset because they want to pay $5 to see their favorite artist pretty much alive? No, you be live and play a show. You don't need a lot of things. You just need a mic and your music playing. You can do it. You can gather like 3 other people. Let's say 3. And you can do a live show on Twitch for like an hour or something. Like you're doing it, you can do it outside. I don't know if your house has a place outside, but you can do it outside on your porch. You can do it downstairs in your garage. Everything plugged in, everything okay. People will pay $5 for it instead of paying like what, 30 or 40, and you'll get all the money. You don't need to pay anyone else. Everything is just for you. You get get 2.5, and then donations and stuff like that if people want to. You could have done that.
Billboard 200, but it was only up there.
Which was really big in 2020.
Throughout 2020 and 2021, and was getting millions.
YouTube,
of
even
songs,
YouTube.
But they weren't going
YouTube streaming could have helped
Kyle
you.
said himself he wasn't feeling like himself.
Even Twitch could have helped you.
He said, "I have not felt like myself now for some time. I felt like I was getting pulled in every direction, and I had zero control of what means the most to me, my art. It is important to me that I give you all the best of me." On top of that, one of the main reasons he was seemingly disappearing was because he was also having label issues. He said in his Billboard interview, "I think I lost control over my art due to the expectations and the pressure that surrounded my specific deal. When I Spy happened, I had this massive record.
You need to
read
it.
Surrounding the label
Read
that,
everything.
Oh, this is the kind of records that he's going to make, and he's going to do it like a factory again and again and again. And you get in a cycle of attempting that, and I realize my art is no longer being dictated by what I just think is cool."
You're chasing.
I'm chasing some sort of smash.
Don't sign for
And
anything.
especially
Just
for
go
me, the smash record they
independent.
want me to chase is like
Post it on YouTube, post it on Twitch. You get
you know what I mean?
The
I'm
label
supposed to
issues
do
coupled with
streams,
the
you
pandemic
get
really
money
seemed to hinder
to
the momentum he
do
had
it,
from like
the
the
things
past
you need.
5 years.
No, like shade to them at all, because my time working with Atlantic was awesome. But I just realized I'm like, oh, financially, it makes way more sense for me to just do this thing myself, because that's all they're asking me to do anyways. Just be you, and hopefully something pops off. But if it doesn't pop off, we're gonna be like, disappointed. You know what I'm saying?
So Kyle went independent in 2021 and got back to the music grind. His first order of business was doing something that I don't think did his career any favors, and that's when he released his next album, It's Not So Bad, as an NFT. He tweeted, "It's not so bad, my 5th project, January 28th. Instead of splitting the royalties with the label, I'll be selling this project as an NFT to give an opportunity for my fans to own this project with me. We're in this together."
You fucked that
forever
up
and
when
ever."
you-
When asked what his fans thought about it, he said, "I think a lot of my fans don't even
You fucked it up
necessarily know what it
when
is
you
or how
said
to grasp
NFT.
it, but I think there's a little bit of a learning curve, and it's going to be a process for people to really understand it. But I think it's good that it just exists." Although I'm not sure how true that is, because if you look at some of the responses to him promoting it, people were saying things like, "Hell no, f NFTs. Boo. Super disappointed to see this, man. Kyle, why?" Now, I'm not an NFT guy, but I think what this means when you turn an album into an NFT is when you buy the NFT, supposedly when someone streams the album, you're going to get a share of the revenue or some of the royalties. However, I have no idea if anyone ever got paid. All I can find are some comments of people asking when.
How does that make sense? I buy an album that you made. How can I make money? Let's say 1 million people bought an album that cost like, let's say $20. How many money from that $20 can I even get? Let's say you get, because you're the artist, you get 50%. So the other 50%, the $10, has to be distributed for 1 million people, right? I'm assuming that's how it works. How much does 1 million people get from that? Do you think they're gonna get a dollar? They're probably not even seeing 1 cent. For you to make like what, maybe like $1 he has to like sell for like, let's say like 100 million records or some shit. We're not talking about Michael Jackson or Justin Bieber or even Juice WRLD or some shit like that. We're not talking about a big ass artist, you know.
And they got
And
their
this is
shares
after the
distributed or
pandemic. He
asking
doesn't
when
need
they would
this. He
get
could
any
have
news
just
from the company
released it and
Populous
go
that
to
he partnered
go to
with.
tour.
This company also has a pretty bad rating on isthiscoinascam.com, so something shady may have gone down. Although, like I said, I don't really know anything about the NFT world, so I could be wrong. And I also could find like no information on this at all. So I'm not gonna say it was a scam, but it was definitely a little.
It was a
fishy.
scam.
And what I
Everything
can say for
NFT
sure is that it was not
is
a good
involved in
look. And
is
it
a
didn't seem like
is a
many
scam.
fans were into this
Oh,
idea.
period.
And on top of all that, the album in general just had really poor reviews. But that wasn't it for Kyle. Kyle had an issue, and it was that him and his music were kind of corny. Or at least that's what people were saying. For example, when discussing his album See You When I'm Famous, the top comment on the Reddit post is, "I'm just surprised you made it this far." And someone responded, "Facts. Also surprised his music isn't total garbage." Now, I used to really like Kyle when I was younger, and while doing the research for this video and watching interviews, he does seem like a super great guy, so this is no shade to Kyle. I respect the positive vibe he tries to push, and I do still like a few of his tracks, but his music seems very appropriate to the time that it came out in. Like a lot of us are probably a little too old to be singing I Spy in 2024, you know what I'm saying? Now that I think about it, some of his bars from that era just weren't the greatest.
No,
like
also
Undoubted when he said, "Fire spitting kid, who you kidding, I would flame your ass. Call of Duty champion, do you know who you're aiming at?" That verse went crazy when I was 15, don't get me wrong, but not so much anymore. Sunny Baby made a great video on TikTok explaining Kyle's strange spot in the hip-hop/pop rap space, which really sums up what I'm trying to say here.
So I was in Kyle's live yesterday, and a lot of people kept saying that he fell off. And for me personally, I would just have to disagree because I don't really think he was ever really on. Yes, I know Kyle's had Billboard charting hits. He is a platinum recording artist, and he's been in the game for a pretty long time now. If you guys remember, a few years back, him and Yachty had that I Spy record, which was just a massive hit. But like I said, he's been in the game for a while now, and I don't really think I've ever really met anybody that's been part of his fan base. Like, it seems like he's there, but no one really seems to take notice until he just comes out with a really big, massive commercial hit. When speaking to people about Kyle, they kind of get like this token-like vibe, and it kind of just seems that he's very commercially successful, but not culturally. I don't know, I'm not a massive fan of his music, but he's obviously a fantastic artist. I just feel throughout the duration of his career, something's missing. But you tell me, what do you think of Kyle?
The comments on this video also help sum up how people feel about him. Kyle represents this weird space in pop rap where a lot of people consider him corny, when really he's just more pop than rap. And another person called him Walmart Chance the Rapper. Now, if you guys aren't locked in on the whole hip-hop space, a lot of people think Chance the Rapper is also pretty corny. So, just not a great look. And if we think back to earlier when I was talking about having Super Duper in his name, like, and talking about being a superhero,
their
with
opinions.
The positivity in his music, I think that's a cool thing.
Anyone else's opinion, fucking, I don't, doesn't matter at all.
And just the fact that he was so positive, like
unless
I
you're a piece of
earlier,
shit. In
wasn't
that case, it matters
necessarily
because
the most helpful look. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being positive, but a lot of people, especially nowadays, think that positivity can be a little corny, especially in the rap space. Believe it or not, I think Adam22 summed it up pretty well in his interview with Kyle.
On a pop culture level, it seems like the positive message a lot of times needs to sort of be like spoon-fed to people, along with like, well, look at all this bullshit that I've come out of. Like, you know, like, yeah, I was a crazy ass alcoholic for 10 years and now look at me. And that people are very much able to like appreciate that. But somehow, like, when you are coming into it and you're just positive, it's like it can be harder to get people to sort of like bite into that.
Well, because they don't understand. They don't understand. And
that everybody has their struggles, even if it's not a really in your face struggle.
Yeah,
like being
even
alcoholic.
if you're keeping it together.
On top of that, he had some TikTok snippets.
Face struggle.
Yeah,
like being
even
alcoholic.
if you're keeping it together.
On top of that, he had some TikTok snippets recently that sort of went viral for being not that great.
So I decided to make a Philly Club song today.
Listen, look. Why? I feel so bad, bro. Like, bro is not made to come back. Like, this is fucking trash, Kyle, for real. Kyle, you are way too old to be doing this. Haven't seen bro since Broccoli. Kyle is Lil Dicky for the black community.
Don't talk shit to Lil Dicky.
I hope that she light skinned. I just heard her say nigga. Yo.
Disrespect.
I feel so bad because it's like, I feel like it's not that bad.
You guys know how Instagram Reels comments are, and people were not feeling these snippets. The songs he was previewing had the same type of lyricism as his 2016 tracks, which isn't great when a lot of your fans have grown up and aren't trying to hear that anymore. He also said his label didn't have the best marketing strategies, but it seems like after going independent, he hasn't been able to come up with something better.
My marketing advice from people I was working with was to do this.
And it's
You
like,
know what I'm saying? And
it's like, oh wow, you're getting paid for this?
and they're
yeah,
getting,
no shit.
They're getting paid a lot for that,
Right.
you know?
So after COVID hurting the launch of one of his albums, pressures from his label, then releasing an album as an NFT and going independent, Kyle's career has definitely suffered a couple of blows. And this can be seen in the numbers on his
the
latest...
way you look and the way you take pictures and stuff like that, it matters a little bit when it comes to being in this area of of everything. You know what I mean? Like, let's say, well, only the features have over a million plays. This one inside you, hey yo, not even 100K. Once upon a time, 805 else's. What the fuck? Okay. A lot of the things, like the way you get into this industry is you have to look a certain way, you have to do certain things, and you have to the way you. If you do this the way I want you to do it, you're gonna make it. That's why a lot of artists still are relevant for like 20, 30 years until they reach an age where be like, okay, now I'm gonna take my shit. A lot of money saved up. I don't need anything. I still make money from my music every day because people still listen. So I'm just gonna do me and fuck everything. You have to do what the label, what the industry, what the people want you to do for at least like, let's say, 5 to 10 years. After that, just go nuts and do whatever the fuck you want because you already have a fan base and you can do whatever the hell you want. But for the first 5-10 years, just do what they want.
1 million plays on Spotify. And you know how you can Google most mainstream artist albums and see the first week's sales? I couldn't really find them for this one. And honestly, I actually like this album. I mean, I like Guap Dad 4000 a lot, and you can't go wrong with the Tizo touchdown feature. Along with that, I think the production was pretty dope too. But the project did not do too well commercially. However, while many fans think Kyle may have fallen off, it seems like he's had a different approach to the music industry as of late. If you guys have ever heard of the 1,000 True Fans ideology, that seems to be what he's practicing. He's focusing more on his core fan base by live streaming on Twitch, starting a Patreon, and doing other things.
That's
like
what
this.
I mean.
What you mean? And so I think the name of the game now,
That's what I said in the beginning,
is really focusing on your micro fan base, right? Your fan base
super
is this.
serving them, yeah.
Your fan base is this. My fan base is this. Like, I'm a very famous person. Like, when I walk,
your monthly listeners are fucking huge on Spotify.
When I walk down the street, like, people are going to recognize me, type shit.
Visually, you're also very unique. People are like, oh, it's the guy with the gray hair, and I saw him on Netflix.
That's what I'm talking about, yo. So it's here, and then, but I can't focus on this in today's world, right? I have to focus on this smaller amount of people that are really into everything I do. I need engaged. I need to super serve them.
They're buying merch. They're
buying everything. They're keeping things afloat. I need to super serve them, and as I'm super serving them, something will raise its hand.
What I said.
And then appeal to all these people.
That's how you do it.
And that's kind of.
And this is really smart because as an independent artist, this is where the money is at. On top of that, being independent for his early career has to have made him so much money. I'm sure Kyle's set for life. Kyle hasn't necessarily disappeared, but he's definitely taken a backseat to mainstream hip-hop and decided to focus on his core audience and making the music that he wants to make. So if you were wondering what happened to Kyle or where he went or why he disappeared or how he fell off, this is what happened. Everything you just saw. I couldn't think of an outro for this one, so I'm just gonna have to say peace out. Catch you guys later.
I spy with my little eye. So what I gather is, okay, when it comes to here's the thing. When you're an artist, when you have those 5 minutes of fame that helped you have like that song that popped off and shit, you have that core fan base who always likes your shit, even when you know your shit is dog shit, focus on those. One of those songs might blow up again and you can go back to the beginning. But a lot of people take that shit like really bad. They start doing bad shit. They're trying to be trending. They start talking shit. They start, they begin to be pieces of shit on Twitter just to get relevancy. You know, they start talking shit about communities. They talk shit about I don't know, people that go through a lot of issues, a lot of problems. Doesn't matter if it's the trans community, if it's the the LGBTQ plus community. The trans is there as well. So, all of it. If it's like, against a race, against a religion, or some shit like that, a lot of people just take that route when they're not at the spotlight anymore. The same Lil Pump is doing right now. Okay, and they take that instead of Lil Pump probably had a lot of people that love that song. I don't know how, but they did. Focus on that people. Release music for those and shit, and maybe one day he'll pop up. But no, he decided to be a piece of shit, so people just hate him. He's in the spotlight, but he's hated. If he drops dead tomorrow, nobody's gonna give a shit.